Or 291. Ray Bear.
Thank you.
At
How
the
are
end of our
you?
last episode, I'm good. Shut up. At the end of our last episode,
And the humanitarian award goes to not Cam. Go ahead. Go
At the end
ahead.
of our last episode, Castro's friend Justo Fuentes, his co-host, got
Right.
shot dead on the street. You might want
Damn.
to take a
Yeah.
take a minute, think about. Castro wasn't there. Did
Right.
he organize the hit? You know, be careful
Right.
when you
Or
walk
did
out in
he
the
get?
street. If I'm not beside you, man, you never know what's coming.
That's true. That's actually I feel a lot safer when you're not around me. Don't take that personally. Don't feel offended.
Yeah,
You're just an
it's
agitator and I'm not. So
yeah.
anyway, let's move
That's
on. Let's move.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Um, yeah. So as I said last time, I think uh, it's funny because with all the books that I have on Castro and lots of books of his interviews with him and speeches, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
none of them talk about this incident very much. He doesn't talk about it
Really?
very much,
Right.
but there's definitely a change in his tactics after this incident in early 1949. And I
Yeah.
think you can join the dots. As I said last time, he's in his early 20s. He's got a pregnant wife, and one of his best friends gets shot dead because they're causing trouble over, trying to create protests around the bus fare situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he goes, okay, shit. If I'm going to survive and fulfill my destiny to make Cuba a better place, I should maybe play a smarter game here. But anyway,
Yeah.
President Priot, after this incident, there was a lot of protests, found himself under pressure to take action against the violent gangs, the MSR and the UIR, among others. As we mentioned last time, he'd been a Labor minister in the previous administration and had sometimes used the gangs to
Yeah.
eliminate communist influence in the trade union movement or to break up
Mm-hmm.
strikes, etc., a bit like your President Trump today is using what they call ICE agents, which I suspect are really just Proud Boy gang members and militia that have been given badges
Right.
and
Here you go. Yeah.
officially been allowed to
Cosplay.
be violent on the streets.
Right.
But as I suspect Donald Trump may find soon, when you unleash these sorts of monsters, they're difficult to control. And
Exactly.
Prio now needs to rein these guys in. By the way,
Yeah. He's going.
Fidel's
Yeah.
links with the UIR gang at this time had become pretty strained anyway. I said last time he wasn't officially a member of UIR, but he was loosely
Right.
affiliated with them. But as his politics were moving further and further to the left, they were all on the right. They were anti-communist, anti-left. That wasn't going to last very long either.
Right. Well, I find Prio, his position at this moment is very interesting. Like you said, he actually hired some of these guys to fight the communists in the streets, not unlike the brown shirts in 1930s Germany. So, anyways, so he's like he's got to be careful with whatever he does. One, he's got to make the people happy. So he certainly makes some arrests. He puts some people in jail, but we're talking like a very small number of people, certainly percentage wise, as far as the gangs. Step two, and I love this because he's a government minister. He literally goes up to all these gang people and he goes, "Look, I'm going to give you a good paying job. It's like the sanitation department." And Tony, you don't have to show up. You just collect your checks. But whatever you do, quit being violent on the streets. These people take the checks, they take the jobs, and yet they keep being violent on the street. So it doesn't really get him anything. But he can't just go out there and blast them because they know him. They used to work together. So he tries something, it doesn't work. The violence is still around. The people are still unhappy. And Castro still has one of many causes that he can go after because besides talking about Cuba practically being owned by America, it's the corrupt cops, the shaking down everything. So again, Frio tries something, It doesn't so much blow up in his face. I'm not. That might be going too far, but it certainly doesn't work, and so the status quo continues.
In the summer of 1949, Fidel's wife, Mirta, was 6 months pregnant, and the Castros spent some time over the summer in her hometown of
Oh.
Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
The town was divided into two parts by a small river. Her
Right.
family had houses on both halves. Remember, her father was the mayor of Banes and was also the owner of a successful legal practice. General
Right.
Batista was one of his clients. One half of the town was almost entirely a luxury enclave owned by the United
Love
Fruit
that.
Company. This is where the
Right.
executives of United Fruit lived in huge American style McMansions, went to American
Mm,
shops to buy goods imported from the United States, played polo in American clubs, swam at a
love
private
polo.
beach that was
Hell yeah.
protected by armed guards employed by United Fruit.
We have
And
to.
the other part of the town was where the working class lived in slum conditions. And
Exactly. Struggle to get by. Yeah.
Fidel was furious
Yeah.
when he saw all of this with his own eyes and saw that Cubans were second class citizens in their own country. They weren't allowed to swim at the beach that
Right.
was controlled by the Americans. And 10 years later, one of
Mm,
his first acts after the revolution was to unlock the gate that excluded Cubans from swimming on the beach in Banes.
right. I mean, it's right there in his face. How is he not going to get worked up? But like you said, his wife Merita gives birth to a son. Is that Fidelito? I'm not sure exactly how to say it. So they need a larger place to live in Havana. And let's not. I don't want to drill down on this and too much, but let's we can't forget. Because I find it interesting that Castro's father has got money. Castro's wife's father has got money. So they're, they have to some degree, they're being helped or supported or whatever. They have access to cash. But again, I mean, even though, having said that, he can't help but not turn away from the plight of his people. So again, that's something to admire about him, because a lot of us could easily be lost if all of our needs were taken care of. My family makes a plan every day to go out and to find a sugar daddy, and I encourage them because I am not it. So again, it's just easy to want to be taken care of it. And even though he's got access to money, he still cares about the average suffering Cuban.
I don't know, your family's sugar daddy?
Are you? You're closer than I am. So congratulations.
Um, if the name
Yeah.
Diaz Balart sounds familiar to our American listeners, that's because
Right.
Mirta's brother's family are very active in
Right.
American politics and media. So her brother was Rafael Diaz Balart, a friend of Fidel's, as I said, a fellow student and
Mm-hmm.
friend of Fidel's. He ended up
Right.
being the undersecretary of the Interior under the dictatorship of Batista. And
Not
then when
bad.
Batista went down and the revolution happened, Rafael moved to Miami. His son, one of his sons, Lincoln Rafael Diaz Balart, was in Congress in Florida, retired in
Mm,
2011, and his younger brother, Mario Diaz Balart, succeeded him, representing Florida's 25th congressional district. And
mm-hmm.
then his son, one of his sons,
Right.
no, another brother. Hmm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
another brother is
Right.
Jose Diaz Balart, who has a show on MSNBC, Jose Diaz Balart Reports, and he also
Oh,
currently anchors Saturday editions of NBC Nightly News. So,
so is that generations of hatred towards Castro? I don't know. I'm,
oh
I'm
yeah,
assuming they're no fans. Okay.
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah. Well, yeah,
okay. He ruined everything for us. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. We were doing so well
Jesus.
under the corrupt dictatorship. How dare he ruin The
We had
great
it
life that
good.
we had, yeah.
The sweet tea. Yeah. Anyway, so
So Fidelito, little Fidel, was born. They moved to a larger flat in Havana, directly opposite a military barracks. Castro used
right.
to joke with visitors that he was well protected thanks to the presence of soldiers on guard duty outside of his block.
They're right there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And for a while, Fidel's younger brother, Raul, who was about to start studying sociology at university, came and joined them. Now,
Right.
Raul was very different in personality to Fidel. And as people may recall, when Fidel retired as the president of Cuba late in his life, Raul took over
Mm-hmm.
until he passed away too. But
Right.
Raul was very different. Fidel, obviously, very domineering, very outspoken. Oh, by the way, shit,
Yeah.
Raul's not dead. Raul's 94 and still going. I thought he died, but he
We got to go to
retired.
Cuba.
He
Yeah. Yeah,
retired
yeah, yeah, yeah.
as president in what 2000 and what I don't know. But he's still alive. Holy shit.
Good for him. Good for
Yeah.
him.
But very quietly spoken, very sort of
Yeah.
people at the time said he was very warm, easygoing, unpretentious. Fidel, very pretentious. Very Oh, you're saying it's us? Right. You're the Raul
Well,
Castro in our
I
relationship.
was hoping
Actually,
you
that
weren't looking.
that kind of
Yeah.
tracks. Yeah, yeah. I saw what you were
I was
doing there.
hoping you weren't looking at the screen.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's why you're doing it with a big shit-eating grin on your face. Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Go ahead.
So you, as you mentioned earlier, President Prio was trying to give the
Mm.
gangsters no-show jobs in the government in return for them abstaining from violence. A bit like the Sopranos having their union jobs where
Exactly.
they just sit there and tan
Rake
themselves
it
all
in.
day. Yeah.
Yes.
Most of the
Yes.
gang
Yeah.
members accepted the money, but apparently there wasn't much reduction in violence. But there is a
Right.
movement that's created around this time called the 30th
Mm.
of September movement. It's a
When was that?
non-violent.
Sorry. Sorry. Get it? Go ahead. Go ahead. I think
It's a
I'm funny.
not. It's a non-violent student movement.
Right. So they're against the violence, so they're nonviolent. That makes sense. Good work.
Yes. And Castro tries to join it. The members of the committee
Right.
didn't want to admit him because he was supposed to be involved with the UIR, which he denied.
Right.
Alfredo Guevara, the leader of the student union and the communist militant, tried to put him off,
Hmm.
stating that a condition of membership was to never carry a weapon. And Castro said he was happy to stop carrying a weapon.
Damn. That's brave. Damn.
He also said he was happily to publicly denounce people he knew to be gang members. Now, we've talked about the fact
Mm.
that he was accusing police and government officials of corruption, and he had a target on his back, and now he's prepared to denounce violence
Yeah.
and denounce gang members, renounce violence and denounce gang members. Why do
Yeah.
you think this is, Ray?
Well, if I can borrow from Hamilton, I mean, this is a new movement. They're going to get some kind of traction, or at least, it's fresh. I think he wants to be in the room where it happens. However, saying in the same breath, I promise not to carry any more guns. And hey, if you need anybody to denounce the cops and the corrupt government officials, I'm your guy. I'll do it. So that to me almost seems suicidal. Is he brave? Is he? I don't know what to think of that, because it's like Caesar going, no, I'm gonna go. I don't need a bodyguard. Everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna go to the Senate. And it didn't end well for him. So I find that very perplexing, but I think he needs to be a part of whatever's going on because he just can't leave anything behind. But again, that's based on not even a Wikipedia search. What do you think? Why do you think he made this, what seems to me, potentially a suicidal move?
To run for politics.
Ah,
And he knew that he needed to clean up his image. He had this
good point.
reputation for, rightly or wrongly, for being involved with these violent gang movements, and he wanted to distance himself from that. So,
Right.
he could be a member of a traditional political party like the Ortodoxo Party that Shibas
Hmm.
was. Shibas was his mentor, his political mentor. I think
Right.
reading between the lines, I think Shibas said, "Listen, you have a future as a candidate for
Right.
our party, but you can't be involved in this violent gang warfare stuff. You need to denounce that, renounce violence,
Yeah.
clean up your act." He's also about to graduate as a lawyer. He probably wants to go into legal practice. Again, not really
Hmm.
good if you have a reputation for being a violent thug. So
Right.
I think he's trying to clean up his act, clean up his image.
Yeah.
His relationship with the UIR too, he said that he'd only been involved with them because of the leader of the group, Emilio Tro, that he was a friend of. Tro had been
Right.
assassinated by the police in 1947, and Castro said he sort of lost interest in the UIR after Tro had been
Mm,
killed. So he was willing to
right.
denounce UIR members who had sold out to the government. So in the end,
Mm,
he was accepted to join the 30th of September movement, and he was given the task of delivering a speech at the university in November of 1949. The speech had a big
right.
impact. He exposed membership of the gangs and their secret deals with the government. It was published in the national press, and again just enhanced Castro's reputation as a person bold to the point of foolhardiness. He's really
Exactly.
prepared to say
Yeah.
and do things that, again, are putting a target on his back, and now he's not even carrying a gun.
Yeah. Yeah. So he gives the speech in November. Believe it or not, he has to go in hiding. He hangs out at a friend's house for a couple of weeks, but he needs to get further away. So again, he has access to money from dear old dad. He gets some cash and he goes to the United States. Now, you and I would go to the, how should I put this, houses of ill repute after we stop by the library. What does this guy do? He starts boning up, getting ready for his to go back to his university days. You know, like I said, he's still learning language. I'm sure he's reading deep tomes at this point, but he's going to stay there for a while. But when he does come back, he does finally graduate as a doctor in law in September of 1950. So he goes. He has to run away, but he turns it to his to a positive thing, and he bones up on his studies, and it finally pays off for him. He now has his degree.
50, he graduates, and he gets a new car as a graduation present from his father.
Thanks, Dad.
And he could have gone to work for his father-in-law. I assume his father-in-law liked him a little bit more at this
Enough.
stage because he's cleaned up his act, he's graduated. His
Right.
father-in-law, as we said a couple of times earlier, ran a prosperous legal firm. He could have got a well-paid job in a legal partnership, but decides to take another path. He
uh,
joins
yeah.
up with two of
Opposite.
his fellow law graduates, and they set up a legal partnership to help poor people assert their rights. They set up shop in a
Exactly.
small, sparsely furnished office in a rundown area of Old Havana and basically start giving away legal advice. Like,
Yeah.
it's interesting because he seems to have complete contempt for money at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
He, we know he was raised by Jesuits. He had a rich father, a fairly well off father.
Yeah.
So he'd come from money, but then he'd been taught by Jesuits probably that worldly goods were a trap and that he should prioritize spiritual interests and helping the poor, being a good person,
Right.
ethics,
Like
morals,
we
that
do.
sort of stuff. Yeah, that's why
Right.
we're podcasters.
Right. No,
And
I think it's admirable. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, after you.
I was I was just going to give a couple of examples because again, he literally, like they start this law firm. They're helping peasants who were kicked off their land. They're helping workers who were fired for striking. They're helping students who were in prison for rioting. I mean, again, it's not unlike Jesus, which I don't know if you were going to make there. I mean, he's going to the lowest of the low and he's helping them, and it's not exactly like he's getting paid in cash. So whatever you think of Castro, and I'm sure as Americans, it's probably not great. I mean, if he's undercover, this is deep undercover. He is helping those who cannot help themselves, and he's being paid in goods. I don't know if it's eggs. I don't know if it's wood. I don't know, whatever the hell, but he's certainly not getting cash. Again, this is a period of his life that no matter what you think of Castro, I think is admirable in the extreme.
Just more evidence that he really cared about doing good work. He's about
Right.
helping
Walk
people
the
from a
walk.
very young age. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of his most important clients was a Spanish timber merchant who hired his
Mm.
firm to recover debts from carpenters who hadn't paid for their timber purchases. Castro's like
Right.
Don Corleone. Like he went and met with the carpenters and they said, well, they hadn't been paid
It's
for their
not
carpentry work. So
right.
he went and put pressure on their clients to pay them so they could pay the timber merchant. The timber
I like
merchant
that.
then paid for Castro's services by donating wood that were used to refurbish the law firm's offices.
Wow.
He, he also represented market stall owners who were being
Hmm.
harassed or extorted by the police. He only took payment
Yeah.
from them in terms of goods from their stalls, food, drink, whatever it was. He liked to
Right.
walk around the markets and just help himself to food, and they would just smile. He's
He's a
Don Corleone, just taking an orange, taking an
yes.
apple. They're giving
Yes.
him
He's a
food.
hero.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
He's a
got you.
hero to the
I got you.
locals. He tried
Right.
to take legal action against the American-owned Cuban telephone company on behalf of subscribers who claimed that the tariffs were too high. He represented
Yeah.
slum dwellers whose buildings were about to be demolished to make way for a public square and got some compensation for them.
Right.
He was just out there to help the oppressed and the poor by providing cheap, free legal services. He's Saul Goodman. He's trying
Right.
to help
Right.
the underprivileged. A young friend borrowed and crashed his brand new car, and when the friend's wealthy father
Oh,
offered to pay for the damages, Castro rejected the offer, said that the only thing that concerned him was his friend's injuries.
wow. Good guy Castro. Wow. How's things on the home front? He's Jesus out in the streets. How's things when he enters the dwelling that he shares with his wife and baby?
Yeah, maybe we could say he's a little bit neglectful of the home life.
Right. Yeah.
They have no money because he's not charging his clients money. So
Right.
they bought furniture for the flat on an installment plan, but then he ignored the reminders to pay, and all of the furniture got repossessed. His wife came home and there
Right.
wasn't even the cot for the baby.
Oh,
Electricity
yeah.
kept getting cut off because he failed to pay the electricity bills. His wife
Hmm.
complained that they were so short of money she couldn't even buy food for the baby. So,
Mm, yeah.
yeah, he's all
He's
about
stretched
doing
thin.
good for the poor, but not
Right.
really looking after the home life. So, again, these stories tend to indicate that he was the real deal. Like he really
Yeah.
was trying to do good work to help the poor people, even, not providing for his own home life at all at this stage,
Right.
to
Right.
the
At the
extent
expense
that,
of.
yeah, it was damaging his marriage and his home life.
Exactly. Yeah.
In
Let's
November
not. Yeah.
1950,
Yeah.
Castro gets arrested in the town of Cienfuegos. He had
Right.
gone there to support high school students who were protesting a decision by the Education Ministry to prohibit student associations in schools. There was a 4-hour running battle between students and police. Castro's in the middle of it. He gets beaten up again, charged with using violence against the police, and then taken to the
Right.
provincial capital of Santa Clara. In his weekly
Yeah.
radio broadcast, Eddie Chabas protested Castro's arrest. There was a demonstration in front of the prison where Castro was being held. He issued a defiant
Wow.
statement to the press, insisted on conducting his own defense at the trial. In court, he went on a long harangue against the government and the police. And the
Right.
magistrate, probably unhappy that Castro was using his courtroom as a political platform, dismissed the
Yeah.
charges and ordered his release.
Yeah. Like, we don't need to hear all this, and it's probably all true. And nobody wants, no, just go. Just go. So again, he gets lucky. I mean, so many bad things could have happened to him while he was in jail, but it didn't. And it gets to the point where the judge is like, I would just rather see the back of you. So again, he's under a special star. He's being protected.